the economic capital, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on the English newscast. Here follows the headlines. The Cameroon People Democratic Movement political party has taken the lead in the regional elections in the west, south, and central, west, south, and littoral regions of the country. The United States on Monday placed Nigeria on a religious freedom blacklist, paving the way for the potential sanctions if it does not improve the record. And in sports, the Champions League game between Paris Saint-Germain and the Bassesi will resume on Wednesday after it was postponed when players walk off the pitch on Tuesday after allegations that a match official used a racist term when identifying a black assistant coach. This is all for the headlines. Stay tuned for the full edition. Good afternoon and welcome back. Cameroon joins the rest of the world today to celebrate the 17th edition of the United Nations Anti-Corruption Day under the theme United Against Corruption. The theme focuses on corruption as one of the biggest obstacles to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, that's the SDGs. The 2020 theme would continue to support the 2030 agenda and also targets to have more youth components in their campaign. The United Nations General Assembly adopted the United Nations Convention Against Corruption on October 31st, 2003. The Assembly also designated December 9th as World Anti-Corruption Day to raise awareness about corruption and of the role of the Convention in battling and preventing it. The convention came into force in December 2005, and ahead of this day's commemoration in Cameroon, price hikes, corruption, and conflict of interest inside Cameroon's health ministry are principal accusations done by the Honorable Jean-Michel Nichou, deputy of the Social Democratic Front. We'll bring more information on the celebration of this day in the 7 p.m. edition. After Sunday's first regional election vote in Cameroon, the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement political party, that's the CPDM, gets 87.5% of seats in the West region of Cameroon. Results of the first ever regional election in the West region of Cameroon were published yesterday, Tuesday, December 8th, at the Bafoussam State Council with no major surprise as the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement political party grabbed 7 out of the 8 divisions. The CPDM party won 53 seats of the 70 in 8 constituencies. The CDU party grabbed all 17 seats in the known division. The only outstanding opposition party is the UDC party with 20 seats in the known division. Some 17 chiefs will constitute the council instead of 20 due to the rejection of the list from the Menoir division. CPDM ruling party grabs 100% win in a regional election in the south region of Cameroon, being lone political outfit represented. But in the littoral region, though other parties were contesting, the ruling CPDM political party won in all 4 divisions. Reading of results continues in other regions, and the first plenary session of the Regional Council will take place on Tuesday, December 22nd, 2020. The government has announced that following the successful holding of the regional elections in Cameroon, it will ease measures taken to foil the protest organized by the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party by lifting his house arrest. The announcement is contained in a release signed by the Minister of Communication Tuesday, December 8th, Rene Emmanuel Sadi. According to the release, the decision comes after the party remained mute during the country's first ever regional election, Sunday, December 6th, while mentioning that several persons arrested in connection with the protests have already been released. The press release reads that others will be released as legal proceedings unfold and depending on the level of their involvement and threats posed to the society. As for the leader, Professor Maurice Kamto, under house arrest since September 22nd, his situation, according to the government, will be closely examined by competent judicial and administrative authorities and developments communicated in due course. And after President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi arrival in France, about 20 protesters gathered outside the Paris National Assembly on December 7, 2020, while chanting "Down with dictatorship." Before his 3 days visit, right groups had accused France of indulging the Egyptian president of brutal repression. Details in this report. The demonstration outside the parliament painted a very different picture to earlier in the day when France welcomed President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi with a cavalry parade through Paris. But French President Emmanuel Macron refrained from direct criticisms of former Army General Sisi, who has cracked down on supporters of ousted Islamist President Mohamed Morsi, as well as on leftists and liberals. Macron told a joint press conference with Sisi that he will not condition the sale of weapons to Egypt and trade ties on human rights, as he did not want to weaken Cairo's ability to counter terrorism in the region. To force the issue of human rights will be both ineffective on the subject of human rights and counterproductive in the fight against terrorism. That's why I want to do it, Macron added. We've come across a president of the Republic who welcomes the butcher of Cairo, the butcher of Egypt in greater pomp on a state visit with the Republican Guard, said Françoise de Roche, chief of the NGO Justice and Rights Without Borders, while adding that we have fallen on our heads. This is unacceptable. France, the country of human rights, cannot accept this. According to the French president, it is more effective to have a policy of dialogue than a policy of boycott, which will reduce the effectiveness of one of our partners in the fight against terrorism and for regional stability. It is noted that more than 40,000 people have fled across the border to Sudan, and many others may have been forced from their homes. Last week, Ethiopian authorities said that they would open up a corridor for aid workers, even though it is difficult to get verified information from the region, as a communication blackout in much of the area is still active, while the European Union Foreign Affairs representative has called for humanitarian access. The United States on Monday placed Nigeria on a religious freedom blacklist, paving the way for potential sanctions if it does not improve its record. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo designated the U.S. ally for the first time as a country of particular concern for religious and freedom, alongside nations that include China, Iran, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia. Pompeo did not elaborate on the reasons for including Nigeria, which has a delicate balance between Muslims and Christians. It is a core issue for the outgoing administration, which often counted on strong evangelical Christian support while playing down other human rights concerns among allies. As a multi-religious society, Nigeria navigates a delicate balance between Muslims, Christians, and others in between. However, the Nigerian people's rising concerns require action for a truly harmonious coexistence. Nigeria is the base of Boko Haram Islamic extremists, whose 11 years insurgency has taken over 36,000 lives and spread to neighboring countries, including Cameroon. The Champions League game between Paris Saint-Germain and Basaksehir will resume on Wednesday after it was postponed when players walked off the pitch on Tuesday, that's yesterday, after allegations that the match official used a racist term when identifying a black assistant coach. Players from the Turkish team alleged fourth officials Sebastian Coltescu used a racial term to describe their assistant coach Pierre Webo, who is from Cameroon, before he was sent off by the referee. Racism and discrimination in all its forms has no place within football, adding an investigation would be open and that the match would resume on Wednesday evening with new officials, UEFA took to its Twitter handle. Basaksehir substitute Dembaba demanded that the fourth office explain himself and signaled for his teammates to walk off while the French team followed them off the field. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your kind attention. This is the package we gathered for you. 7 p.m. I will be back with essential African information. And until then, have a blessed day.